It's MC Monte in the place to be. Welcome to 2024 and welcome to the adventures of MC Monte. This series is all about building Lord Drakkon's cosplay. Yeah. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I made my very own Lord Drakkon shield straight from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book series. This design is straight out of the comics, straight out of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Shattered Grid by Boom Comics. If you haven't read it, be sure to check it out. So I based this cosplay build straight out of the pages of the comic book. I created a pattern for this build, so if you like, you can download my patterns from my Etsy shop. I'll put a link to the patterns in the description below. For this build, I used EVA foam and gold fabric. This build is definitely a level 3, so it's a little bit more advanced, but if you follow along with this video and if you follow instructions on my pattern, I'm pretty sure you can get it down and make it look nice. As usual, everything you need is listed in the description below. Gather your supplies and let's get to it. I started off by drawing out a pattern and sketching the ideas to get the Lord Drakkon look, and then I turned that sketch into a pattern for the shield, the base of the shield. Then I traced the base of the shield onto EVA foam and I flipped it to get a mirrored version so I have a complete front of the shield. Then I cut that out. I'm using 4mm EVA foam for the base of my shield. Then I traced the front of the shield again onto another piece of EVA foam to create the back of the shield. So after I cut that out, I also found the center of the shield and drew a line up the center and cut it into 2 halves. That way I can apply elastic to the back and be able to get in and out of the shield in the back. And then I just made a slight curve to cut out a space for the back of the neck. Now that I have the front of my shield and the back of my shield, next thing I did was glue the pieces together. So now I'm gonna glue the front and back together. I'm using Surebonder. They have a new hot glue that's specifically formulated for EVA foam, and it works really well. So I'm using Surebonder I'm using a Surebonder glue gun and Surebonder EVA foam hot glue, and it's so perfect and it makes the build process smooth and fast. So I used that for this whole build and I really loved it. It was my first time using it for an entire build. Now I'm just reinforcing the seams by putting some self-adhesive 2mm EVA foam over the seams in the back underneath the shield to hide the seams / reinforce the seams. Next, I'm cutting out a piece of EVA foam long enough to go onto the back to be the opening for my back. Velcro to create a closure in the back. And attach it with the Velcro. Next, I'm cutting out strips for the bands that go around your side to hold the shield into place. So these bands go across your ribs and connect the front and the back of the shield together. And I'm using 2mm EVA foam to cut out these small strips for detail lines, detail pieces, and I'm gluing them onto the straps. So this creates the detail for these pieces. I'm going to take my drawings and turn out my drawing to make sure this is all going to work. And once I figured out it all works, I'm going to cut everything out. So I started with my collar pattern, and I traced and cut out 2 of these pieces for the collar. Now I'm cutting out the details that go on top of the shield base. All of the Lord Drakkon Green Ranger style details. They look like this. So now I'm going to take these and trace them onto EVA foam, and then they're ready to be glued on top of, eventually they'll be glued on top of the shield. The entire piece. All into medium. Valley into these pieces. This is totally optional. So I will cut a valley into this piece, and then I will glue the valley together so that it creates this 3D dimensional look. On the other side, it has the peak on the other side, 3D peak. But this is totally optional. Next, I'm tracing the big detail piece. I need 2 for each side, so I'm going to trace the large detail piece. And cut them out of EVA foam. Still using 4mm EVA foam. So I'm using my X-Acto knife to cut a bevel onto this large detail piece. So you want to cut a 45-degree bevel on each of the pieces. Or if you're not good at doing it with your X-Acto knife, you can use scissors like I just did there. And then smooth out the bevel with the heat gun. So both of these bevels will be 45 degrees so that you can glue this piece together and get the peak look that you need. Okay, so this is Emcee Monte coming at you from the future to warn you about a crucial step. So I should have fabric wrapped all of the pieces for detail piece 1, this big detail piece number 1. I should have individually wrapped all of the pieces that go to building detail piece number 1 first, then glued them all together. That would have saved me a little bit of struggle and a little bit of headache. As you can see in this video, I glued all of the pieces together for detail piece 1, and then I wrapped it as a complete piece. But that was a headache to do. So I advise that you wrap each individual piece first and then glue those pieces together. All right, back to the video. Piece 1A and detail piece 1B. And these detail pieces will go on the front and back of the 2 big detail pieces. Piece number 1, the big detail piece that I just put together. And this will complete the look of the big detail pieces that go over the shoulder. So detail piece 1B is the small piece that goes in the inside like so. And detail piece 1A is the big piece that goes on the outside like so. So I'm using my hot glue gun to glue my pieces into position to make the entire look. Next I'm figuring out how to make the circle design that goes in the center of the chest. So you can use a compass to get the circle that you want, or you can use a protractor like so. Or you can just use my pattern and I already did the work for you. But you're going to cut out a circle just like this. Next, I'm going to trace and cut out the Lord Drakkon design, the Lord Drakkon coin design onto EVA foam and cut that out. And once I have those pieces cut out, I use my wood burner to create the valley again. And glue the valley together so the other side can have that raised peak. Once again, this is an optional step. And now I have all the pieces to create the Lord Drakkon coin in the center of the shield. Next, I need to cut out the final detail that goes in the center. And it's this piece, this triangle piece that goes around the circle. So I'm going to trace and cut that out of my EVA foam. I need 2 of these pieces. I'm using my X-Acto knife to cut out this piece. And once I have 2 cut out, I can put the whole thing together like so. Just testing to make sure it's going to work. Next I'm going to paint my shield base. If you have FX paint like I have, this green FX paint, you can go right to painting 2 coats of the FX paint. But if you are using regular acrylic paint, you have to prime your EVA foam first so if I was to use acrylic, I would prime 1 coat of Mod Podge, then do 2 coats of acrylic paint. But with this FX paint, it's specially formulated for EVA foam, so you can go right to doing 2 coats of this FX paint, and the first coat acts as a primer and a first coat. So I did 2 coats of this FX green paint. And once that dried, I did 1 coat of matte, no tack finish. So this will protect my paint job. And while that's drying, it's time to wrap all of the detail pieces in gold fabric. So you just want to cut out your fabric, lay your pieces down onto your fabric and cut out enough fabric to be slightly bigger than your piece. Then you're going to take spray adhesive and spray both sides and wait a few minutes and let it get tacky. Then you stick the pieces together. It only takes about 2 or 3 minutes for it to get tacky before you can work with it and put it all together. I took this setup outside just because I wasn't sure if the spray adhesive would cause a lot of fumes or make the house smell weird. So I just took it outside just to be safe. But if you're not spraying a lot, if you can't go outside and you're not spraying a lot of spray adhesive, just use a well ventilated area. And when you're done, the pieces will look like this. So I just went through this process with each piece and wrapped them into foam and got this nice finish like this. And I did it with all the detail pieces, including the small Lord Drakkon coin pieces as well. I love how they look. So here are all my pieces wrapped and ready to go. Now it's time for me to glue everything onto the base of the shield. So I'm starting with the coin design, making sure it's in place and gluing all of this down into the center of the shield. still working with this amazing Surebonder EVA foam hot glue. It's doing an amazing job. Next, I glued the circle down into place. And after using the hot glue, I used a little extra reinforcement with the super glue because I wanted to make sure the edges stayed down and stayed firm in place. And then I glued the coin detail into position. Next, I'm gluing the straps onto the shield. So using Velcro, I just glued the straps into place and reinforced it with tape, and then Velcroed each side. Put Velcro in the front so that I have something to connect the straps to. And this is what I have so far. Now I'm working on gluing all the detail pieces into place. So I'm taking my hot glue gun and applying glue on the back of the detail piece and then pressing it into place on the shield. And just work with each piece. Take your time, work with each piece and make sure it's in a good position. And I just used 2 fingers, the space of 2 fingers to place the shield details. And now I'm gluing the large detail piece into place, which goes on the outside. And I'm taking my time and making sure everything is straight and just gluing one section at a time. When the front is in place, I flip it around and do the same thing to the back. Just make sure it's all lined up. And last but not least, I'm gluing the collar into position. So once the collar is glued down, everything will be done for the shield. All the details will be glued onto the shield. And there you have it. Looks great. Then I made the armbands. I just recycled an old Green Ranger armband that I already have. But all you have to do is cut out a rectangle that is the length of the circumference of your bicep. So cut out a rectangle that fits your arm and glue the 2 strips, detail pieces onto the ends, and then wrap it in gold foil. I'm using elastic and super glue to close the armbands and give it a way to slide onto my arm and stay in place. Then try everything on and look amazing. And there you have it. Lord Drakkon shield complete. And one step closer to having a full, complete Lord Drakkon cosplay. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified anytime I post a new video or tutorial. And continue to stay with me and follow along as we have more and more adventures. The next video in this series will be building the gauntlets, the Power Ranger Lord Drakkon cuffs that go on the arms and on the legs, as well as the belt. Always remember, adventure awaits. So get out into the world and explore, and I'll see you next time. May the power protect you. Peace.